Hello everyone, this is Anand from Team Amoeboids, and in today's video, I've got a really nice feature to talk about. Today, I'm going to talk about displaying or highlighting unread release notes count within your ARN widgets. That's right. I've already shared my screen so that I can give you a sneak peek into what we are going to talk about before I talk about the setup and integration and so on, right? So if you're already observing on my screen, I've got this release notes button right at the top within our automated release notes app for Jira. And you'll notice now it displays this one unread count, right? In a sense, this one indicates that I've got one unread release notes or rather release node inside of that widget. Now, as soon as I click on this, the widget will appear in the right bottom corner and the unread count that was there, that will go away. You'll notice there is now the latest version or the latest release node that is displayed, and the number that was highlighted, that's not visible anymore. If you haven't looked at our older tutorial regarding how you end up creating these widgets, how you insert them inside of your own web and mobile apps, definitely go ahead and do that. I'll also add a link here at the top. However, as part of this video, I'm only going to talk about how do you set up the widget in such a way so that the unread release counts are highlighted for your end users. Now let's go ahead and jump right in. So one thing that I've already done is I've navigated to the release pages and widgets app inside of our instance and created a widget. You'll notice I've called it a dummy widget. I've already set it up as a floating widget, as a floating panel. And one important thing that I've done there is I've already published one release, right? Now, I'm not going to jump into all of these details. How do you configure? How do you map the Jira issue fields and so on? That's a part of a separate discussion. The video is already live. Here, I'll only focus on the ability to have this unread count highlighted for your users, right? So what I'm going to do is I'll copy the embed code for this widget. So I've copied it and I'll now put that embed code, that JavaScript on codepane.io. If you followed my earlier video regarding how you test your widget, I'm sure you remember from that video that we use codepane.io for testing our JavaScript snippets, JavaScript widgets. Here, you might observe that the widget is already appearing as soon as I added this JavaScript snippet. When I click on the widget, it will end up loading the relevant information, the relevant release notes content. As I said earlier, I've already published one release note in here, and that is displayed by this 11th of October. Now, let's first understand how does the ARN widget know the unread count for any given user. Well, if you haven't observed this already, notice that this snippet now also includes an additional optional parameter called as user ID. Here I'm trying to highlight it here, right? So what you are going to do in that case is, so obviously once you insert the snippet inside of your application, the ARN widget or this snippet expects you to insert some kind of an identifier about your logged in users, right? How does that work? So for example, you can pass on any kind of identifiers. Those could be random identifiers, user IDs, email addresses, whatever you can think of. However, our recommendation is use something that is not personally identifiable information, such as a random user ID and so on, right? So for the sake of this discussion, let's say your random user ID for the logged in user is ABC, right? So that's what I did. I added a user ID and passed it on to the JavaScript snippet. I'll visit this snippet once again, or rather the widget once again. It will load the 11th October release note, and that's about it. Now, if you look at it superficially, not much has actually happened. We've only provided the user identifier, and the system has already showed me the existing release note. Now, in the backend, what has happened is this widget has remembered the user ID ABC, and it now says that the ABC user had looked at the widget after 11th of October 2022 release note was published. Now let's do one thing. Let's go to the ARN screen. The widget is already here configured. Now what I'll do is I'll go to the rules tab where I have already created a demo rule. All this rule does is it's a manually triggered rule. It essentially allows you to publish release notes within that dummy widget, right? So we already have this one set up. I'll just run it. Now, we already have the 11th October one published. So let's publish the 18th October 2022. Let's look at the logs. It should show up in progress or success. All right, so you'll notice this is the demo rule that we just ran, and it is successfully run. Just to confirm it once again, let's navigate to the dummy widget that we had. And here you'll notice now it has two releases, 11th October and 18th of October. Now let's do a very simple thing. Let's keep the ABC user identifier as it is. I'll cut the JavaScript snippet so that the page reloads. Now it's blank. The widget has also disappeared. I'll paste it once again and wait until the widget appears. You'll notice the widget now says I have one unread release note available inside of it, right? So if I run the rule once again at a later stage and the user does not visit the widget, this count will go up to 2, then to 3, then to 4, and so on, right? So this allows you, this specific user ID identifier allows the ARN widget to remember a user when they visited last and accordingly display the count of unread release notes from within that widget. As you might already know, ARN widgets are one of the most powerful ways to put release notes in front of your end users, in front of your customers. And this ability to highlight the unread release notes really adds a cherry on top of it. Hope that was helpful. Thank you very much for your time.